All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us today. We appreciate your time in a big way. We know that's the most valuable asset in the entire business. And so super excited to kick this off and welcome both Joseph Puckett from CWC and Dave Williams from Team Hired to come in and talk about three essential pieces of scaling your business. And when I talk with agency owners and we talk with agencies every month, these are the three areas that they're always trying to figure out. A, how do I get more attention and more leads and more people to talk to in my business? Number two, how do I hire the right people to actually convert those leads and continue to scale? And then once I hire the right people, how do I onboard them and continually help them be successful and scale within the business themselves and grow long-standing careers so we don't have to deal with turnover all the time? So we got together a little while ago and said, you know what, let's put together the trifecta and talk about all three of these and how they all fit in as one enchilada. So I know Joseph, for those of you who don't know him, has an incredible amount of experience, not only managing, directing, and overseeing within the Craig Wiggins Allstate group a few years, not even a few years back, just a little while ago. You guys made quite the imprint on the network of Allstate agents, but also in that time, I don't know how you did it, but while you all ran a mega agency, you also started the leading consulting and training and development organization in the captive insurance space today. And so I've had a chance to see you speak and have a lot of agencies that have been impacted by you in a big way over the years. So super excited to have you here, Joseph. And Dave founded Team Hired alongside Tom Bianco, who just joined us as well back in 2017. And prior to that, grew a scratch agency to over $20 million a year in annual recurring premium. And I've got a ton of respect for Dave and not just his business acumen, but I think his knowledge of people and building cultures and really building lasting agencies that make an impact on the community and the team as well. And then we've got Mr. Tom Bianco with us as well here, which I'm really glad to have Tom to talk about leads today. Lead up, and Tom's connection must have dropped off. So if Tom's able to jump back in with us, I'll introduce him. And myself, my name's Andy, serve as National Sales Director with Team Hired, have an opportunity to work with thousands of agencies on staffing and recruiting and growing their agencies. So we're all very, very excited to have everyone here today. And we're gonna keep this as conversational style as possible. So if you all have questions, please drop them in the chat as we go along. We'll take breaks along the way.
We're here to serve, like whatever you need, like we're here to deliver in any way we can for you today too. So let's let it flow where the information needs to go. If there's something on your heart, put it in the chat and we'll do our best to try to deliver for you.
Yep, 100%. And I'm going to be the moderator, so I'm going to keep you two cowboys in line today. All right. So we're going to kick things off. And
I probably need that sometimes.
I definitely need that, man. I could talk all day. I could go on and on and on all day. So dude, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Thank you to Dave, Tom of Team Hired for asking me to participate today. I'll get us kind of going, talking about leads and marketing. I want to ask you guys a question. Send us a chat. Now, if you're watching this live on the Facebook, we won't be able to see that. You can join us live in Zoom. I'll be going back and looking at the comments, but y'all send me a chat right now. Give me a ballpark idea of what y'all are spending on leads and marketing every month. Just send me a chat. Just chat it out. How much are you spending on leads and marketing? How much on leads and marketing? All right, we got Stan at 7,500, Mary at 2,000, Danielle 2 to 4K, Candace 0. Maybe Candace is doing more organic stuff. Let's see, we got some big numbers here. Ashley, $9,000. We got Mike at 6,000, Andrew at 4,000. Keith,
top one's 15 so far. We got 15.
Oh, there's Jazz. Keith was there at 12, but now Jazz is there at 15. Y'all, that's a lot of money. Let me ask y'all, this is a yes or no question. There you go. Yes or no question, y'all. Yes or no question. Are you tired of feeling like you're wasting your money on leads? Yes or no? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're like, no, JP, I've got all the like most amazing lead sources. Okay. Yes. So let's talk about leads. You guys, Dave worked with agents all across the country. I know Andy, you work with agents all across the country. I kind of have my own perspective on leads, but maybe I pass it to Mr. Williams first. Dave, you can kind of share what your thoughts are around leads in this environment.
Yeah, no. So I can share what's worked for us in the past and is working for us today, and not necessarily that's the only answer and the right answer for everybody, because I think that looks different depending on your style, your agency, and then how you flow. But I'm a big fan of setting up an infrastructure where part of my marketing budget goes into building a bench that's setting me up for the future, for future growth, in preparation for the unexpected too. So kind of my lead strategy, marketing strategy also ties into hiring. So what we like to do when we're going out there from a marketing perspective, one thing that I'll do, I'll start at probably some of the highest converting things out there, right? We put on for our team, not just in insurance agencies involved with, but in our other companies, we'll do something called success points. And we put a big part of the compensation for our team members around something called success points that are the KPIs and the drivers of the things that are going to get us the results that we want to do. So for example, what an success point could be is they did such a good job. Somebody gave them, they're a raving fan and gave them a shout out, or they gave them an introduction to somebody else that maybe has their next best customer because of how long that they did. So really they're depending on those stories and asking for referrals. So for every referral that they get, that they do a quote with, that's a success point. And then that ties into their compensation, because we know by rewarding that, that is the best return on investment out of any source for us. That is one of the best converting sources from one of us. And that's just, kind of one of the small layers. And then from there, one of the things that we like to do from a strategic standpoint is when we're investing in leads, we'll go in and maybe spend a lower dollar amount on the lead side when it comes for cost per lead, and we'll spend a higher dollar amount investing in people that are generating those in warm transfers. And there's obviously multiple different ways there. You can go to warm transfer companies, you can go outsource yourself, a lot of different things that you can do there. Just buy more expensive internet leads, have your team dial them. But one of the things that I saw, that I observed, is some of the best attributes and skills of our best team members was having conversations, was having rapport, and that's what's going to allow them to earn the most. That's what's best for them. That's what's going to be best for the agency, allowing us to grow. And it's a win-win across the board. So when we looked at it though, when they're working leads and they're working marketing, they're spending, it was about a 40% ratio, listening to dial tone, listening to people, not pick up the phone and then get somebody and then have that conversation. But we thought, hey, you know what? That's not where they're the best. And we could outsource that, and we could get them. Imagine if we shifted it to 80 or 90% of their time are having valuable conversations. Well, the agency is going to do better. It's going to be better for the customer because we're putting our best in front of more people, and it's going to be better for them long term because they're going to have a bigger paycheck. And then it's probably going to result in more retention, because I think some of the things that burn out some of our best people is when they're listening to that dial tone, is putting in those reps over and over again. So what we like to do is almost treat it like a sporting event. Is imagine if it's the major leagues and you got your top people in the MLB, and then you got the farm league. And in the farm league, we have our sales support agents. So in the sales support agents, they're actually taking those a little bit lower cost leads, or maybe we'll buy them on a delayed basis. So you know what, we're okay with not getting them real time, but we can get a much better deal. And again, this is just what we do. It's not the Bible on how to do it. And it's been effective for us. A much better deal by getting them 3 days delayed, 4 days delayed. They're still within the TCPA guidelines. And then we can have our sales support agents that are actually spending that time dialing them, getting them on the hook, and then just having a real tight pitch. Hey, I'm excited to talk to you about this today. We got some incredible rates in your area right now. I'm incredibly confident dollar for dollar, we can get you a much better value on your insurance while delivering better coverage. Not even asking, but going in very matter of fact and assumptive. Hey, I got Jimmy or I got Jane right now. And what they're going to do is they're going to take over the phone call right now. And I know your time's valuable, because that's one of the biggest objections here too. So it's like building that into the team, using basically overcoming those objections in advance through framing. And what I'm going to do, and I know your time's valuable, so we're only going to take a few minutes here to go through that. But we all know once we get them to commit, they're in there. Now it's their decision, right? So they can choose to spend a lot longer than 3 minutes, which most people do. And then they warm transfer it over our team. And what that does is now our best people are spending most of their time having more valuable conversations, maximizing. But what it's also doing too is we strategically put those sales support agents, and we tell them that, hey, this isn't the the end all be all for you. We're putting you in this position to prove yourself, and you got to prove yourself for 90 days. If you come in and crush it, you destroy it. This is what good looks like, and this is what great looks like, and this is what phenomenal looks like. Wherever you are on the tier is going to dictate on how you advance inside this organization and how quickly you move up the ranks, get yourself licensed, and then be in the shoes, earning more income in another position. But you got to be in this role a minimum 90 days. So what that does is almost creates some of your marketing budget where you're having tryouts, just like they do in, just like they do in the MLB, where they're trying out to get to the top. And then all of a sudden you could have somebody super dynamic. They're embracing the culture. They're killing it when it comes to conversations, overcoming objections. And those are the things that I'm looking for the things I can't coach. I'm looking for the attributes that's going to make up the next best phenomenal producer. And then we can tap that person on the shoulder, because I'm a firm believer in great people don't cost money. I'm going to say that again. Great people don't cost what? Great people don't cost money, because especially in the day and age with variable comp, when you got somebody great, and what does a great look like? They're rocking 40K, 50K, 60K in premium. Well, that person should be paying for themselves in this environment. So if we got somebody that's great, we'll move them up, even though if there's no need on the staffing side, because great people don't cost money, and put them in there. But most importantly, if we ever lose somebody, we got that bench that we could pull from. So it ends up being a kind of a dual purpose, where it's fueling our marketing, but it's also saving us from having that unexpected thing. And the reason I hit on this, I say all that to say this, because by not doing that and depending on it, I see too many people, too many times, you'll lose that rock star unexpectedly. And what happens? You can't replace them overnight. It takes maybe 3 months. You get them up to speed, you got to train them. And what happened? Lost opportunity cost. And that could cost you your bonus. That can cost you a great deal of lifetime value when it comes to the production that you're losing from that individual. But by having that backup, that kind of insulates you and ensures you, so to speak, kind of pun intended for the audience here today, for that, not to happen inside your agency, and protect the bottom line.
Well, I'll jump in and just say, I'm really impressed with some of your lead budget. My question is, before you start spending thousands and thousands more dollars on leads, and I love everything that Dave just said, I'm a big fan of life transfers. I think life transfers are outstanding, because internet leads, data leads are super labor intensive, crazy labor intensive. 95% of the calls go to voicemails. They're getting blocked. It's getting harder and harder and harder to connect to people. So I really, really, really love live transfers as well. But data leads can absolutely be a part of it as well. We've got great partners at CWC. If you guys are ever looking for really great internet lead sources, live transfer sources, direct mail sources, we've got it all. But think about how much you're spending on leads. Now, how much time are you spending training your staff to work them? It's interesting. Go in any Facebook group, Transform Your Agency Owners and Staff group, the Team Hired Candidates group. Go in any group and just ask about a lead vendor. You know what you're going to find? Several people that say loved them. Several people that say they suck. Right? It's just really weird. It's kind of an interesting thing, right? That the same lead vendor can get different responses. Now, guys, it can also vary based on where they are in the country, like where you are. It can be kind of different. But I think that what matters more is, are you training your staff how to work the leads, internet leads, live transfers, direct mail? Is anybody out there doing direct mail? I'm curious. I know direct mail has been kind of saturated a lot the past few years. Chat me yes or no if you're doing direct mail right now. See, direct mail is really the best type of lead, because it's really high intent. They're calling you. We've got a bunch of yes, yes, yes. We got a couple no's, a bunch of yes. David Vogel says my favorite. But how much are we spending now per piece? 70 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents. I guess it just kind of depends. Make sure that when that $200 or $300 phone call, because that's going to be about what it is, you're going to spend $150 to $200 or so per phone call. Make sure that when your team member answers that phone, they're prepared. So my challenge to y'all is to invest in your team. Invest in your team with the right training, the right development, having the right scripts. And of course, I would love, if you're not a member of Craig Wiegand's coaching, to check us out. We have all of the scripts, all of the objections, our entire sales process all mapped out. But before I pass it back to Dave, I also want to mention, y'all, do more with what you already have. Do more with what you already have now. Unless you're a scratch agency, you won't have a lot of these. But what are leads that we already have? I'm just kind of looking at my notes here from a prior presentation. Requotes, win backs. What is going on right now in the industry, guys? A lot. There's so much disruption going on in the industry. Rates are skyrocketing. Companies are tightening guidelines. Some companies are non-renewing customers for things like comprehensive claims. I mean, heck, a major large corporation just lost $1.3 billion last quarter. Do you think there's going to be more rate coming? And by the way, for the agency owners on the call, congratulations on the pay raise. Rate increases are amazing for your book. I'm just going to say it. Y'all can hate me if you want. Rate increases are amazing for your book. I just got off a call with an agent in South Carolina. He's growing like 800,000 from 4.3 to like 5.1 million. So far, YTD year to date, he's only up a couple hundred items. So he's growing like crazy, right? But there's a lot of disruption going on in the industry. Maybe we weren't the right fit for somebody 6 months ago, a year ago, something like that. Requote them now. Let's see how we look. But y'all, and if you're a part of CWC, you know what I'm about to say. We can't just sell on price. You want to get higher return on investment for your leads, your marketing, your direct mail, your investment in your staff. We have to train our staff to sell much more than just trying to get the price a little bit cheaper. Okay. And we can talk a little bit more about that in a bit.
No, absolutely. I love it. Love it. And one thing I would love to go into too, because there's a lot of times there's many people on there that are totally dialed into what this means, lifetime value. But then there's some that maybe that need a little bit of polishing up on that to truly connect to how you can invest in your agency. Because when we talk about these three things, when it comes to hiring, when it comes to leads, when it comes to training, sometimes we can look at those expenses, but I believe none of them are expenses. They're investments, right? And if you
is he
every dollar in there that you could, absolutely, because that'd be an incredible turn. So lifetime value, a lot of times we're looking from the lens of that first year commission. Well, I can't afford to invest in marketing, or I can't afford to invest in markets. I'm only getting paid X, Y, Z, right? But a lot of times we don't realize is, okay, if you got somebody that's putting up, $40,000 in premium, let's say, and they got that 40,000 in premium that they're putting up month after month. Well, what's your net retention? And then just for simple math purposes, every month they're generating for you, let's say 10%, we'll call it. So that's $4,000 in reoccurring revenue that they're doing month after month. If you do that over the course of the year, what is your overall retention? You're running a 90% retention. The lifetime value of the business that your folks are generating, like basically you multiply that times 9 that you got on each and every month. If you take $4,000 a month, you go over the course of the year, you got $48,000, and then you're going in and you're multiplying that by 9. So what is that? That's $438,000 that person generated in lifetime value for you. So now when you look at it from a lens of lifetime value and you're making investments, that comparison that I said that everybody probably put their hands up for, if I could put $300 into a 401k 3 years from now, it's going to triple. Well, this, when you look at this cost analysis of the lifetime value that each great employee is generating with the right marketing, the right dynamic, well, that investment is far greater returns than the example that I give. And when you look at it into that level, there's no better way, I think, to analyze your business, but to really break down the math of what is the lifetime value that somebody's generating like term. Because now you're not just living in the present of where you're at. Yeah, instant commissions and cash flow are super important. But knowing the long-term investment of what that looks like sometimes connects the dots and you find a medium place in the middle. And that shifts the mindset and shifts the mind frame of how you can invest into your business long-term and then just grow that equity component.
Absolutely. If you're able to start earning money within 1 or 2 renewals, that is a deal, right? That is a deal. If you find a lead source that basically pays for itself within the first 6 to 12 months, y'all mortgage your house and buy all those leads. I'm just kidding, y'all. Don't mortgage your house. Don't be crazy. But think long-term. If you were to buy a business today and within 12 to 18 months, you owed nothing on it and everything was nothing but pure profit, boom. That's exactly what Dave was just talking about. Don't forget about cross sells, y'all. cross sells, customer referrals. Let me ask y'all, send me a chat right now. Who feels like they do a good job with customer referrals, generating referrals from the customers? You might be at a pretty large agency and you're getting dozens of calls a day. You might be at a very big agency getting 100+ calls a day. I mean, at our height, we were doing 300 to 400 inbound calls a day. Send me a chat right now. Do you say, yes, JP, we're awesome at customer referrals, or no, Joseph, we need to get better at customer referrals? All right, Steve says we're 100% referral based, but we primarily do commission. Daniel says, yes, we're great at it. Okay. Andrew's being honest, needs to get better. Candace, yeah, we do well. Lee, nada. George, super bad. I think now we're getting a majority of the answers coming in. I just wanted to encourage you guys to train your staff how to ask for introductions. So we have a very specific script at Craig Wiggins Coaching for our members. You know, we have different ways that we ask for introductions. I was working with a team yesterday that's in my program. Florida agency. We were role playing and training and practicing on how to ask for customer introductions so we can help other people. Just the CWC script that we use. That afternoon, he got a referral from somebody. He was just writing a current customer motorcycle, but he thought, hold on, what did Joseph say earlier? I say this all the time. Birds of a feather flock together, y'all. People with good credit, with good loss histories, married homeowners, y'all, they hang with other people like them. People that ride bikes, drive boats, all that kind of stuff, they hang with other people like them. So he thought, oh, motorcycle, he probably hangs with somebody else. He asked him for a referral. That yesterday afternoon, closed. Motorcycle, 2 cars, home, umbrella, in one call from a referral. So I just want to throw that out there. Some of y'all are spending thousands of dollars a month. Make sure your staff are working these free leads, requotes, win-backs, cross-sells, and referrals.
And success points. I mean, to his point, I mean, that's just it. Birds of a feather flock together, right? People don't ride jet skis alone. People don't ride, I mean, they do sometimes, but it's more common that the reason why, you know, they say you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. So the probability of you surrounding yourself with other people with motorcycles, other people that are, if you're investing in real estate and you have investment properties, well, what do your friends probably do? You probably hang out with other people that are investing in properties. So what do you got to do to discover that? Well, closed mouths don't get fed. You got to ask. And what we do, again, to drive that behavior, because we found it was one of the most difficult behaviors to drive, is we would layer it very heavily into the KPIs. So they're even on the service operational side of team, and not just in insurance, but we'll do this in our other organizations. Here's your base pay, but you can almost double that base pay if you maximize all the KPIs and drivers we're looking for. Well, how do you do that? When there's that big of an upswing, to ask and chase those success points, we'll figure out what are the success points that are driving our bottom line. And for us, what it is, okay, we're giving a great customer experience. Well, how do we measure that? Well, if I get a Google review, I get a Better Business review, I get a video testimonial. I know somebody that's not a raving fan is not going to do that. So that's our barometer around customer experience. Success point, success point, success point. Well, what drives revenue in there, which is very, very important outside of the customer experience? Well, referrals, getting introductions to people, maybe getting introductions to influencers. Think a little bit bigger when you ask for a referral. Who do you know that has access to maybe 20, 30, or 50 people that own snowmobiles? Because now you're changing up the question. You're not just saying, well, who do you know that has a snowmobile, and you're getting one referral, but imagine asking, who do you know that has an audience, or ask and knows maybe influence to 50 other people with snowmobiles? So now what they start to think, well, they're probably in snowmobile clubs. They're probably in motorcycle clubs. And there's somebody there, maybe that out there has a Facebook group or an organization that has access to all those people. Well, I'd be eternally grateful if you were to introduce me to that person, if you thought I did an incredible job today. So now that referral just sends you into a referral source, thinking much, much bigger and dynamic that way. And that could be, you get a dozen of those under your belt. Now that's a perpetual pipeline. And the second, so now you're rewarding for those KPI success points, because that's what gets their income elevated. But then in addition to that, what they start to realize is, well, life gets a lot easier when I have a dozen partners. They're just sending me business over and over and over again. That's also elevating my income. So the compounded effect of all of that makes a heck of a lot more sense, because now I'm not dialing for dollars as much. And when somebody comes in for a referral, what do? They close at a higher clip, because there's influence there and there's trust. So, start thinking a little bit bigger when it comes to those things. But the success points are really, really key for us in driving those core behaviors. And then what it is too, it's consistency and talking about it every single day. And I want to hit on that for just a moment. So consistency and talking about it every day. Good mentor of mine, Tim Story, he tells this parable around consistency and kind of having faith in the process and trusting it. And he talks the farmer mentality, the best farmer. What does a great farmer do? A great farmer, well, they got to first till the land, plow it, get the soil primed. Once they prime the soil, they go and they plant all the seeds. And then what do they got to do? They got to water every day. But when you're watering, just like in insurance, just like running your agency, sometimes training, sometimes investing in training, sometimes investing in leads, it doesn't happen overnight. But just like the farmer, you got to water every day, until maybe you're doing it for weeks, maybe you're doing it for months. And you know what? A lot of farmers, depending on the crop that you're trying to go after, they might have to do that every single day without seeing an ounce of hope. It's happening below the soil. And that's what's happening in your agency from the compounded effects of training, everything else. Just think about it. It's happening below the soil. But eventually that first shoot comes up. But what would have happened in the chat? What would have happened if that farmer for 1 day, 2 days, or maybe took a week off and stopped watering their potential harvest? What would that look like? Well, the crop could die just with a day or 2 days or 3 days. So it takes them, and I think it's really the same model in business. It takes, they say, statistic 21 days of consistency to start to build the culture, but it only takes 3 consecutive days of breaking that to just completely eliminate and bury everything you did. So when you're looking at, from a holistic standpoint, your agency and your business, are there vulnerable points that are impacting consistency that's causing you to be inconsistent and constantly having to go back and revisit the basics? Who's ever feel like, show of hands in the chat. Just throw a hand, throw a comment up there. If you've ever felt like I keep having to revisit the same things with my team. Why do I got to talk about the same things? Why do I got to chase the same things? And it's always when something is broken, what is usually the common answer? We'll try to search and hunt for it, but it's going back to the basics. And then you got to like unpeel the onion a little bit like a little bit deeper, right? Well, why did the basics fall apart? And typically when the basics fall apart, it comes through a lack of consistency. What I would challenge everybody to do, which will actually strengthen your investment in all 3 of these things, from hiring to leads to training, is how can you put a moat around the consistency inside of your operation, inside of your agency, so it is unshakable no matter what. Somebody like quits, there's still consistency. You have to go to an emergency or whatever it might be, there's still consistency. So what are those 3 layers of protection if key people are not present in your organization that protect it, knowing that 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, definitely, law of large numbers and statistics show 3 days of not doing it destroy like almost a month of hard work and sometimes years of hard work. So I challenge everybody to go after, lots of hands in the chat there. Consistency is key.
Absolutely. What we say at Craig Wiggins Coaching is practice makes permanent. Practice. Y'all, you got to make time. You have to make time to train and develop your team. Guess what? It doesn't take a lot.
And
you can get a lot done in 15, 20 minutes.
Is perfect practice makes perfect, because sometimes you go out, this is what another mentor of me taught me. He's like, Dave, you can go out there and swing the bat. It was my baseball coach, over and over again. But if you have the wrong swing, what are you doing? You're practicing a bad habit that's reinforcing the thing that actually gets you the opposite of the result you're looking for. So the cool thing about CWC, when you're going in with those live trainings, they've literally perfected it. So when they're in that environment, yeah, you could do it on your own, but you're in the environment of perfection and they're practicing under the guise and the lens of perfection. So what do you get when you practice perfection? Close to perfection, close to perfect. So it's really important, not just how you train, but the methodology and making sure you're following the right training, which I know they do a phenomenal job at CWC with.
Thanks, man. And, some of y'all may not know this, but we now offer live training every single morning. Every single morning, we lead a 15-minute huddle. It's at 9:45 Eastern, 8:45 Central. And it's live training every Wednesday. We have live training for an hour, Wednesday afternoon. What you were talking about earlier about, the metrics, the responsibilities of the team member, how we can get them to achieve their goals. Maybe we can shift a bit towards hiring. right, towards hiring and trying to find where are these people at, y'all? Where are these people at? They're going to be making all these calls and working all these leads and writing business. Well, we're very blessed to have like literally an amazing source on hiring. You've got your finger on the pulse literally daily. Why don't we kind of maybe shift gears and talk about how do we find some really great people to come into the office and get this thing running like a well-oiled machine?
Yeah. No, I'd love to dive into that. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And we've been, as we go, I think it's an evolving market. And that's why at Team Hired, we've been evolving. A lot of people may or may not know. We got a whole brand new process that's been absolutely lighting the world on fire. Our Elevate process to help elevate your hiring. And then, we heard everybody's feedback loud and clear. Not every agency is just like you saw in the chat there. Not every agency could spend 15,000 in leads. Some are 500, some are 1,000. And we had like one model that you come in, maybe $2,000, $3,000 for hires. But we were able to put together a system where we now have hiring solutions as low as $497 that we're running a promo on. But basically, what we're doing when we're looking for those great people, and what I would recommend everybody, it's not just solely our service. So I'm going to give you the low and down of everything that I would do if I was hiring. First and foremost, just back to the birds that flock together, right? One of the first things I would always, go to in an agency is what great people know other great people inside your operation, right? So if you got somebody that's got the wherewithal and they're putting up 60,000 in premium, they're dynamic. Usually that person is a certain avatar, right? They act differently. Like they don't act like the person that's putting up 5,000 in premium. If you put them together, you could probably visualize in your mind what the avatar of the 5,000 in premium and then what the avatar of the 6,000 in premium, the 60,000 in premium. So you got charisma over here. You got somebody that's dynamic. They got the will to win. They don't get their emotions getting the best of them. So their emotional intelligence is higher, right? They have all those attributes. So that being said, what is typically, we said earlier in the conversation, somebody is the average of the 5 people they surround themselves with, the what? The most, right? So there's a high probability of who they are was made up because everybody, typically birds of a feather flock together and we become our environment. Like the people that we're raised with, we create similar careers, similar homes, similar activities. We all ride motorcycles. Well, it's like your best LSPs. Sometimes you got to dig a little bit deeper with them, maybe incentivize them. Your best LSPs are going to hang around with your future best LSPs. And that's a great place to start. Another place I like to do too is I'm out and about and having a different lens when I'm out and about in the marketplace, looking, doing my everyday activities, and then challenge your best people to also have that same lens and incentivize them. So if I'm at a Best Buy, like retail, who's been to retail lately and had a just less than desirable experience? Light it up in the chat. If you've been into a retail environment lately, especially in this era, 2023, and you've had a less than desirable experience. Like it's almost everybody that should be. So I'll go the other direction. Who has been into retail and then has had an incredible experience? They're more rare than not, but who's had an incredible experience when you walked into a retail store? By like show in the chat. So as you probably have realized, what is more common is mediocrity and average because we're allowing it. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these big box retailers die. But amongst the average and amongst the force of mediocrity, if you have somebody that breaks through the mist of that, and they're dynamic, and you go into a lot of these retail places, most of them, they're not commission based. So there's an internal motivator in there. There's something in their DNA that makes them up. Sometimes that's not coachable. So when I have a phenomenal experience, I immediately engage that person and try to get them on my team. But here's the way not to do it, and here's the way to do it. The way not to do it, hey, I think you did a phenomenal job. Here's my card. Could you call me? Well, they think, well, cameras are watching, my boss is around, it's uncomfortable. And then they might be uncomfortable too. They don't know what you're offering. For all they know, oh, I hear insurance, and they heard a bad story about insurance before, some life insurance company that was a pyramid scheme. I don't want to get into that. And you never hear from them, right? But here's an alternate way. Hey, I would love to have a conversation. Like we have a career opportunity that I think would really elevate you. We've had people just like yourself that have joined our team and they've doubled and tripled their income. What I would love to do is give you my digital business card so we can connect after that. No obligation, no nothing. Let's just have a conversation. and see if we can make some magic happen, and maybe I can impact your life the way I impacted others. That sound fair enough? Do you mind if I give you my digital business card? What do they need? Put it in the chat. What do they need to accept the digital business card? What do they got to give you? They got to give you cell phone number, right? So you're forcing them into behavior of getting their cell phone number, you're connecting, and now there's a high probability that you can like go in there, snatch somebody up out of a good, great environment. So those are some things, that I really like to do to find some good people. And then of course, at Team Hired, we do things a little bit differently. We've actually revamped our model now, and we have very strategic methods in which we're, first and foremost, trying to look for that right avatar to bring them in. And then we're playing that numbers game. We're bringing them into the pipeline, we're vetting them, and then getting them onto big Zoom calls like this, where we can ask creative and dynamic questions that's going to pull out of them some of the things that you're looking for in your best producer. And we're able to do that, bring them in and take them through multiple cycles of the hiring process. So I think one of the challenges that are out there is there's too many times it's just the reason you don't have enough sales is you don't have enough leads. Well, sometimes you don't have enough candidates in the pipeline, and it takes that law of large numbers of somebody that has a higher probability than not of meeting that avatar, getting them there. Not everybody's going to be perfect, but that's why we go after the law of large numbers, because we know by asking the right questions, getting the right amount of people into the room, that's going to shake out very quickly. And the way we've designed our new process with Elevate, it's done just that. For a lower dollar amount, we've been elevating, getting results way faster and at a higher clip by doing that. But there's more to it. One of the things that we love to focus on with our customers are some of the things that we maybe have our blinders on inside of our operations that are getting in the way of hiring, but we don't realize is getting in the way of hiring. Because what are, the common things in a hiring challenge? I'll go over real quick. So we got over here, highly competitive job market. We got lack of quality candidates and candidate ghosting, lack of time or experience hiring. And then we have the high cost of making the wrong hire. And, that can be pretty detrimental. So when you look at it from that lens and all those different things, that's why we follow our 3 C's formula that we came up with. Because in the very beginning, when we founded this company, one of the things that we really did is we dug deep with the candidates, because we were facing some of the same problems that you would face, right? It's like, okay, people are ghosting. Okay, we're not finding the right people. The right people aren't showing back up. What is going on? So what we started to do is do dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of exit interviews with people, and just asking them raw questions. Like, listen, I want you to be totally honest with me, because it's the only way we can improve. What are the reasons why you ghosted? What are the reasons why you didn't accept the position? What are the reasons? And then we got a lot of the very similar feedback, brutal honesty. And it was literally over 90% of the time, it came down to 3 main things, which we call our 3 C's. First, it was compensation. And I'll tell you, when it comes to compensation, the one thing important there, you're going to make it very difficult if you're in a market like California, where cost of living is very high, New York City, and you have an incredibly low base and not a competitive commission structure that's going to get them to the place where they need to be. Because now you're competing against not just other insurance agencies that are maybe paying more, but you're competing against Walmart or somebody else down the street. And what happens is they don't tell you the truth. Candidates just don't tell you the truth, because telling the truth is uncomfortable. And so what happens is, how do you avoid discomfort in life? You either give an alternate narrative, or you just don't show up. And what's not showing up? It's ghosting. But if you're really dialed into that, and I'm not saying you got to overpay or pay, but also take a look at maybe something you didn't look at in the past that could determine a different level in which you invest in your person. Because one of the things that I learned as a lesson a long time ago is great people don't cost money, right? I'll say it again. Great people don't cost money. They're an investment, and they'll give you a great return. But up front, you might have to commit some money to them. Like, great people expect to earn. And if you don't provide that opportunity, you're going to be perpetually chasing less than stellar and mediocre individuals that fit into that bucket. And if you do find somebody by luck that happens to be that right individual that comes aboard the team, and you're not paying them the right way, Well, they're going to probably be out the door as fast as they started. The second they get under their wings and they see somebody else paying or something else, now you lost that person as fast as they came in. So I encourage you, don't have to overpay, but analyze your lifetime value. You'll realize you can invest in most. You'll realize that great people don't cost money, and have it there. The next part of the compensation plan is simplicity. I like the KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I'm a big fan of that. But what I've seen out there sometimes, and I get it, we want to have all clear expectations out there, but there's like a 3-4 page comp plan that you need to like go in a Cracker Jack box, buy a decoder ring, and then like bring the decoder ring home and try to figure out how to do that. What does that look like when I'm at a, oh, great, they want to hire you? Well, honey, what are you going to make? Well, let me go through page 7. Well, page 7 says I got to do this, this, and this to earn like this percentage, but then page 2 said this. And she's like, yeah, Paychecks down the road wants to give you, 60 G's. Oh, that sounds a lot better. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to blow this meeting off. Keep it simple. Keep everything else for the employee manual you sign on day one. Cover the nitty gritty details like on day one with them. Keep it simple. A 1-pager that clearly articulates how they're going to earn, what they're going to make, what the opportunity is, how they're going to earn it. But then what I would do, because most compensation plans, and I know every single one of you is, in some way, shape or form, you got incentivized structure in there, right? But a lot of you, many of you, you're numbers people. That's why you're business owners. You're great with math. Guess what a lot of people are not good at in the world? They're not good with math. So they give it to you and they're like trying to do this, and they just can't comprehend what that averages out to on a monthly basis income and an annual income. So a great exercise to do, keep it simple on the comp plan, keep the meat in there. Think about a frame of like, if I was reading this, would this sell me on the opportunity? And I know you want everybody to sell you on the opportunity, but I believe with great people, it's different. Great people, it's a 2-way street, because great people know they're great, and great people are looking for great employers and great bosses. So it's not just that they got to sell you on the opportunity, which I think is important, but you need to make sure that you're in alignment with what you're presenting evens up with a freaking superstar rock star, because what a superstar rock star insists upon and expects is way different than somebody that's below average. And if you keep accommodating and catering to the average, you're going to get more of the average. And if you dismiss the great, you're going to get less of the great. So make sure that that's in alignment. It's simple. And I would put a good, better, best comp plan, right? So you put in, if you come in and do the bare minimum, let me ask you a question. Are you a bare minimum kind of guy or girl? Are you a mediocre, like you're in the average, or are you a freaking rock star? Oh, you're a rock star? Well, awesome, because I agree. And that's why I'm offering a position. I typically don't offer positions to anybody that's less than rock stars. And I know you can do it. I can believe you can do it. If you're a rock star, this is what you can make. But if you're doing the bare minimum just to keep your job here, and I know that's not why you're accepting this role, and I know that's not why I'm offering you to do the minimum every day. You're not that type of guy or girl. But just doing the bare minimum to survive, to keep your seat, you're going to earn this per month, per year. If you're average, you're coming in, you're living in the force of average, this is what you can expect a month per year. And oh, by the way, if you're a rock star, which I believe you are, you are, this is what you can expect to make. So you tell me, what are you going to make when you go out of here? What are you going to go home and tell your wife? What do you go home and tell your husband? What is that going to look like? I agree. Great. That looks like a good opportunity, right? So now you got the compensation down. The other C is culture. This is super incredibly important, but a lot of times, including myself, because I get so focused on certain things sometimes that I'm the most passionate about, that blinders go on. That just happens to us in every aspect of life. Our blinders go up. But what do we see when we look at the same things over and over again, day after day after day after day? The blinders aren't there. We're not seeing the things and the attention to detail that other people see. Give you an example of that. You come on a Zoom call with somebody and you're interviewing. If you are not tight, your Zoom's not tight, you're not dressed to impress, you can't swag the way you talk, that they're going to take notice on that. That's one. But if they come into your agency and it's not well lit, and there's employees that are kind of like, it's kind of lackadaisical, like their head's hanging down, their body posture's down, it's not well lit, their body posture's down, it's not exciting, and there's paperwork everywhere. Like, you're a new employee coming into that, not saying that's any of your agencies, and it's an extreme example, but sometimes there's little things of all of these that are blinders we're missing. And what I like to do is create a scene of perfection when I'm bringing somebody in. It's because first impressions are everything. If you go out on a date and you're meeting with somebody to go to lunch and you're going to dinner, what do? You put on your breasts, like you want to say the right things, you want to be charismatic and do it. Well, have that same mentality when you're in there. Operate at a level of perfection when they see that, because after all, that is the first impression. And you want to make a great first impression and show them a culture. And if you don't have that culture today, without a great exercise to do is get your whole team together and do a team building. We want to build the greatest culture on earth and analyze some of the best cultures in the world, Mercedes-Benz, Zappos, all of them, and then analyze and articulate all the different things that make up some of the most incredible cultures in the world. Sit around with your team. They will love it because they're a part of building. And what do people want to do as nature, as humans? We want to create and we want to build and we want more. They will love that you ask them it to help build your culture out, your non-negotiables, your core values, what your morning meetings look like, hold them accountable to. And now you're bringing people into a totally different environment. I'll tell you, when my agency was at its best, it was at its top. Eventually we got to the place we didn't even have to recruit anymore because it became a magnet. Everybody would see on social, hey, this is a cool, fun place to work. And we all of a sudden just started getting everybody's friends that came in and worked for us. The last thing I'm going to talk about is sometimes what we keep is the best kept secret because we don't want to lose great people. But the very thing that we're afraid of sometimes, and what we're afraid of when fear comes out of losing that person, can actually cause us to lose it. It's the same way. I'll go back to relationship analogy. You're afraid to lose somebody, so you try to control your spouse. You try to control everything they do. And what does that do in the end? It actually causes the very thing to come to fruition that you're afraid of the most, and then they leave because that's not what they want. Well, it's the same thing here when it comes to long-term career path. I have a lot of conversations with people. Well, Dave, when I have a great people, I really don't want to tell them about that right away because I don't want them to just go off and do their own thing. I don't want to lose that person. But I found more times than not in my own personal experience that I would lose that person when I didn't do that because they didn't have something more to chase. So what I recommend doing is, what does that career path look like when I come in, no matter what, even if I'm a telemarketer? What is the very specific deliverable and timeline? What do I got to do in 90 days, 120 days to become a producer? When I become a producer, what do I need to do to become a senior producer? What do I need to do to get more licenses? What do I need to do to become a team lead? What do I got to do to become a director of operations, a sales director? And then what is the really projected timeline that I could be in your seat? And tell them about it. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of other companies out there that look flashy on the surface. Because what does it sound good and cool? It sounds cool to work at Amazon. It sounds cool to work at Google. It sounds cool to work at, XYZ company that's this big flashy company. But guess what? I guarantee you, if you look at the upward trajectory of the career path there, it's going to take years and years and years to get incremental 3% increases as you go. The insurance industry is one of the only industries you can go to, in my opinion, one of the best opportunities in America, one of the best opportunities in the world that you can come in. If you put the right level of intensity, consistency, and hard work into this business, 3 years down the road, it's a very, very attainable thing to now open up the doors of your own agency and then walk them through what the long-term economics of that looks like. Let's say you want the safe route. It's still a hard business, right? But if you want the safe route and you went in and did this, what's going to happen by going and buying an agency that's, let's say, a $3 million, $4 million agency, if you didn't even grow to dime, which is not the intention of getting into this business on a $3 million agency, $4 million agency, and you pay that asset off in 10 years, what if I told you you'd be basically be a millionaire in 10 years? How many other places can you go into? And you don't promise that. That's got to be earned, but it's literally on the table that you could change your life. And what I want you to do is close your eyes and visualize, what would your life look like if you became a millionaire? What does your family impact? How is that impacting your kids? How is that impacting your parents? And what would it do that? And is that something that you would desire down the road? Because that's not for everybody, and entrepreneurship is not for everybody. But I want you to know the way I'm wired is, if that is something you truly desire, I will help you get there. But this is how you get my help. Is you have to show up and act as if you're like way above the position that you're already in now. You have to go up and show it up as if that you're multiple layers above and beyond that. And then you could be in my seat one day. And just like this industry changed my life, because that was a reality for me. Like a lot of you heard my story back in Circuit City. I lost it all. I lost my health. I lost my finances, and then my job. And then with a lot of luck and God and faith, there I was. I had the opportunity before me and built an empire that catapulted my life into other things. This can happen to other people too. And if you get it, you're passionate about that and you sell them on it, boom, 3 C's. Doesn't that look like a little bit different of an opportunity? Doesn't that look a little bit more dynamic? So now when you got great people in front of you and you're wondering why all these great people keep ghosting, when you presented it in that light, now all of a sudden, great people are resonating with you and you're attracting great people like a magnet. So having the right foundation. So that's one of the things we do at Team Hired, is we really try to teach on those fundamentals, make sure you have those in place, and look for the gaps that are going to get in the way, because we're not successful if you're not successful, because our true intention every single time, we're not perfect like anybody else, but our true intention is we always try to make it right. We always try to do the right thing, but we always try to make sure that the foundation for success is set up so you can be successful. And that is our formula that we found, that really the 3 C's that allow you to be successful when it comes to the hiring game.
So Andy, you put up a poll there. What 3 C's do y'all want to work on the most? We have, the winner is culture. And culture is so important, y'all. Make sure that you don't have any culture vampires sticking around. Had this conversation with an agent earlier. You know, he had this person that he felt he couldn't replace, Dave. She was so important. She's been there forever. All the customers are, you know what I'm talking about? And she was a jerk. All like, she couldn't get along with other staff. It was just terrible culture. He's like, man, I finally let her go 2 weeks ago. The air has never been lighter. Everybody's happier. Y'all make sure you protect your culture, protect who you bring in. But if you realize you've ever got a bad apple, you got to remove that apple from the bunch, or it's just going to ruin everybody. So thank you for sharing that poll. If y'all don't mind, I want to share just a couple slides just real quick, because I think this kind of ties in exactly what you were just talking about. So I've got this huge PowerPoint. It's part of a presentation that I do from time to time. CWC has a 12-step hiring process. And for our CWC members, you have complete access to our hiring process, or interview guides, so much more. I just wanted to make a quick note. Y'all don't take shortcuts. If you take shortcuts, don't be surprised if you don't end up at the destination you desired, right? If you take shortcuts and say, well, I'll overlook this for that person, or I'll overlook that for that person, don't be surprised if they're not the rock star that you thought they were going to be. So we have a very specific 12-step hiring process. You know, hiring on your own is very time consuming and very costly. Think about the value of y'all's time. You know, what's your hourly rate? If you could outsource your hiring to a company like Team Hired, I put Andy and Dave's email here. I hope they don't mind. But if you could outsource your hiring, maybe reach out to Andy instead of David. Outsource your hiring. It's actually more cost effective to have more help. You know, we're big on Indeed resume search alerts. This is a great way that you can invest just a couple $100 a month to use Indeed resume search alerts. And I'm flying through this. Like, I could literally spend 10 minutes on each slide. We have an example email template that we send out. I love Indeed.com/resumes. It's amazing, but dang, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to do your own recruiting. He gave amazing tips on where to find candidates, everything that I typically go over, referrals from your staff, or how we found a lot of our top producers actively recruiting in the community, social media. He talked about, because people were seeing how cool they were and they wanted to come. I love Indeed resume search alerts, but of course, Team Hired. Just real quick on compensation. So here's an example compensation calculator that all of the members of Craig Wiegand's coaching have, where you can plug in like your salary, whether the commission tiers are based on premium or policies or items, whatever you guys are tracking. Whenever going over a comp plan with somebody, don't just say it's a salary of $36,000 or $42,000, whatever, plus this commission scale. Show them. So what he just said about those numbers, I always ask these 3 numbers. How much do you need to make? How much do you want to make? Now looking at this scale, I asked them those questions before I showed them this scale. Now, how much will you make here? Literally what he just said a few minutes ago. But I love our example compensation calculator that you can plug in your commissions, your tiers, and all that kind of stuff. What we're doing is we're highlighting the far right column. We're highlighting the far right column when we're pitching the compensation plan. He said, keeping things simple. Keeping things simple. Here we have our pyramid of minimum expectations, making it crystal clear what's expected of them. 2 policies a day, or 10 quotes, or 80 calls. It's kind of been our standard pyramid of minimum expectations. Notice the title of this, y'all, is Pyramid of Minimum Expectations, not Pyramid of Goals. These are the minimum. So then we'll ask them not just how much do you want to make, how much will you make here, but also what are your minimum expectations? So all of this is had before we bring them on. Y'all, a lot of y'all are hiring people. A lot of agents out there are hiring people. They're bringing people on and they're frustrated 2 months later because they're hardly doing anything. How clear were we with our expectations? all of this needs to be outlined up front. But Dave, a lot of what you were saying aligns perfectly with what we teach. So I just had to like show those examples real quick.
Yeah, no, I think it's phenomenal. I'm totally in agreement with that too. And I think, again, it comes back to like the investment in CWC, the investment in the training like that, because what a couple $100 investment can cause you, every single employee, I'm talking about every employee, thousands of dollars in, lost opportunity costs. Whether it's you got somebody that's not being trained the right way, so they never get off the ground, they eventually fizzle out, and you go 6 months of trying to beat your head in the ground, and then the person leaves. Or, most importantly, maybe you got somebody that comes in and they become a mediocre person. But by having the right tools like CWC provides, it gets them in the realm of greatness. And when you go from mediocre to greatness, there's a shift in income, there's a shift in mindset, because, who loves coming and showing up for work just to be mediocre? It doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel good to lose. But what is addicting, right? Winning is addicting. I love to win. I love to build. I love to win. That's what everybody else in life does. Winning feels good. And if you do things to help people win, it perpetuates momentum. And that momentum results in making more money for them, making more money for you. And oh, by the way, that equation equals to more lifetime value in retention in your employee. And while great people don't cost money, I'll tell you, one of the most expensive things that can happen into your business is having to replace great people over and over and over and over again. So, I mean, it's incredible. I've known them for quite some time, Craig and CWC, and there's nobody that does it better. Like they got it down to a science. So when it comes down to perfect practice, like I don't believe anything's perfect in play, but you're going to get pretty darn close when you're going over there with them. And that investment is what's going to allow you to have, similar to that 401k analogy, put the $300 a month in, or the $297 a month in, and what's going to go out over the course of years, I'm going to guarantee you that that's going to double, that's going to triple, and you're going to see a net return on your investment. And it's one of the best, hiring people is one of the best investments you can make. Training people is one of the best investments you can make. And then putting marketing and fuel behind both of those things, I'd say, is one of your next best investments that you can make in any single one of your businesses.
Absolutely.
And then we also too, I want to put out, we're not here to sell anybody today. We're here to deliver value, but this is a thank you for showing up today, because like everybody in this chat's different. Not that anybody that didn't show up is any worse than anybody on this call, but you guys went through the weeds to get here, right? And what are the weeds? I know I've been in the weeds. I live in the weeds now. There's so many other things. There's customer calls. There's so many distractions. There's our significant others blowing us up. We got our social media. So many other reasons that we could have chosen not to be here today, but instead, like, you guys clearly get it. You get investing. You invested in yourselves to show up today. So that, I definitely congratulate you for. And as a reward to everybody that, wanted to invest today, we would like to give 5 hiring credits to everybody. Each credit is towards one of our, 3 flagship packages. Every hiring credit's worth $100. So that'd be a $500 total bargain. Like, anybody on this call can redeem it. And we do that as a thank you, because what we want people to do is try our new process. We got a new process that I guarantee you, hey, you can light up my cell phone number if that doesn't work for you. The Elevate process, we've been elevating people across the country. It's been a much shorter timeline. We've been getting it done. And we do have long-term solutions now, because we heard you loud and clear. We want to listen to our customers. Dave, can I have something I can go ongoing? I'm not paying $3,000 a month for. Well, we got things normally $695 today. We're doing for, special $497. So $497 is basically, similar to going Indeed. We're going to pump your resumes. We're going to give you access to our new software. We got a cool software to automate your hiring process, one-way interviews. We got a lot of cool features into that, some training features into that. We're in talks with CWC here about some of our training that's in there, automating the role play process. A lot of people don't like the role play, and it helps automate the role play process in our software. That gets included in that package. And then we have different tiers based off the need. So somebody doesn't have to come to us, put a big dollar amount in when I'm being reactive and I lost that opportunity. I lost that bonus because I had to spend some time getting somebody up and running, getting somebody up and trained. But you can have that bench constantly flowing, $497 a month, resumes are pouring in with the design that you got that bench. You see somebody, the writing's on the wall, maybe they're going to get promoted, they're going to go somewhere else, fill somebody in their slot to get there. And then, the biggest thing, like, again, I'm going to hit on today, so we're not here to sell, we're here to provide value, but like consistency is key around all of these things, because you could get the best of the best processes in place, the best of the best people in place, but if you don't keep it all consistent, What happens when the engine in your car the cylinders don't fire consistently? That's an expensive repair. What happens when you don't consistently oil the chain on your bike? What happens when you consistently don't look after your body? What happens when you consistently don't get sleep? So as you can see, anything great in life that comes when you don't have consistency, it typically falls apart. And that's like one of the biggest things I would encourage everything to do, because that's one of the biggest reasons I see businesses have this ebb and flow, up and down roller coaster ride. But when you find that like peak and you want to stay on the summit and you want to stay on there where things feel good, like, because nobody likes to be in a corner getting punched in the face all the time. I've been there way too many years, spending my life there, and you can learn from all the black eyes that I got, the Mike Tyson rounds that I took, because I eventually learned the hard way. Well, I just got to keep things consistent. The reason why things were falling apart is always I would go into the men's room and I would look directly in the mirror, and it was always on the shoulders of Dave Williams. What could I do differently as a leader to embed consistency? What could I do to make sure we're investing in hiring? What could I do to make sure that we're investing in the right training at the right frequency consistently every single day, so that all these cogs are in place, that it runs like a well-oiled machine? And just like you go on a NASCAR track, what do? They consistently pull the car into the pit every single time. They change and rotate the tires, and they do all the proper checks, because if they don't do that and they lose a little bit of consistency, you see the car going down the road and it starts on fire. So, get it so dialed in around consistency, and I'll tell you, it's going to make this business, it's already good, it's going to turn it to where it just feels great.
Absolutely. And Ronald just sent a Q&A. Where do I go to learn more about you guys? So teamhired.com. And if you guys are interested in Craig Wiggins coaching, how we can help you at craigwigginscoaching.com. Dave, I want to thank you and Andy for inviting me to sit in on this session. I appreciate you guys so much. I get nothing but outstanding reviews. We have over 1,500 agencies in our program. You guys work with a bunch of them, and you help them. You help them find the right people. Did y'all see Nick's chat? He said, y'all promised him 10 interviews. He got 54 interviews in 3 days. He canceled the other 3 days of interviews after he made a hire. Did you see that chat?
Oh, I love that.
It chatted that to everybody. That's amazing feedback.
That's what we try to do. And again, we don't aim or promise to be perfect, but we always try to over deliver on our commitment, our promise. And the one thing we're committed to is you guys. Like, you're our lifeblood. We're committed to serving. Andy will tell you, what do we talk about every single day? It's really not about anything. It's not about money. It's all about the customer experience, and we obsess about it, and we try to get better and better and better and better. You ask any one of our team members what's the important thing in the organization, it's that customer experience. And we're always trying to improve. We're always trying to listen to you. We're always trying to deliver at our utmost highest for you. And if there's a time that you don't feel like that's the case and you work for us, you can hit my cell phone. I'll give it to you all in the chat, 585-317-1168. You send me a personal text, and I'll do whatever it takes to try to make it right for you. But I'm grateful for the great comments there in the chat. And again, I think this goes there too, like just like the kind words Joseph had, one doesn't work without the other, right? When you hire the person, put your trust in the CWC to keep that person and get them on the right train, because that 90-day window, a lot of times people don't realize that 90-day window is the most instrumental. And we've actually done some cool things with CWC too, where even if you haven't used them in the past and then you're using us, we give you, during those first kind of moments, a trial where you can, try them out in the training, and then, see for yourself, is my investment turn? I guarantee you're going to see a great investment there in that training part of it, because the reason we do that is we don't want you to have to keep coming back to us. Like, we want those hires to stick. That's how we get long-term reputation. That's why we get long. And the biggest reason people don't, stick is typically the lack of training. But most importantly, what I'll encourage people to do when I talk about consistency with intensity. Because if somebody comes in and they're in your organization for 90 days and you see a spark and a fire in that person's eye, like they could be a $60,000 producer, but now you're allowing them to operate in the realm of mediocrity, in terms of that might not be mediocrity for somebody else, but for them and what's in their DNA, that's mediocrity. They're mailing it in and still getting 30,000. After 90 days, remember we talked about habits and 21 days building a culture and building habits. After 90 days of living in a state of mediocrity, well, that becomes the normal. And it becomes very, very difficult to take somebody that's embedded to working. And I equate that to, being a little bit lazy, because we all can do it. I can be lazy sometimes. Everybody can be lazy. And if we create an environment that allows people to just kind of mail it in some days, and I can, with my blindfold, I could get 30,000 in premium, I'm going to do it. But if we take it, especially in those first 90 days, we push them to the max, or we push them to their absolute limits, and we get the best out of them in those 90 days, you're going to get so much fruit out of that activity, because now you're getting somebody that's getting to the peak of best, and they're operating that for 90 days. And the odds of that continuing on into a perpetual cycle, the term that they're with you, maybe it might dip, but it's going to dip by 10, 20%. And you still have a rock star. You don't have somebody that's mediocre. And I think that's how great people, are born, is just pushing them to the limits in that first 90 days, whatever it takes. And you'll find too, maybe some people can't be pushed to the limits. They can't reach your expectations. And that's why they all say, like, fire fast when it comes to that. Don't have the wrong person in your culture, because the wrong person, just like an investment can give you great returns, the wrong person can become a cancer that spread, that gives you negative returns, that gives you negative impact onto your business.
Good stuff. Andy, any final words from you, as we probably need to get these people back to work, huh?
Yeah,
we could go all night. We could go all day.
Yeah, we'll do
yeah.
education event. We got everybody, they're all in. We got everybody that's been on the long run here.
That's right.
Yeah, I would just say thank you so much for being here. If you guys would like a copy of the recording, actually, we streamed the entire deal live into the
$9.97 for a copy of the recording. We're going to set it up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And today it's actually free. It's wild. We're doing a $29.97 off. So if you go to the Licensed Candidates on Demand Facebook group, if you're not already a member, you can just send us a request. We'll let you right in. We streamed live directly into there. Also, if you need any support from any of us, I dropped Joseph's information, Dave, and myself as well, along with the company website. So please just reach out if there was anything. I already saw David Crenning. Thank you for reaching out. Jackie Crane, appreciate you reaching out as well.
One last selfish ask and plug, and I don't go on a thing that plug or sell anything.
Spotlight you for this. Hang on.
That is so near and dear to my heart. I don't know if everybody's seen on social media before, but a lot of what I like to do that I can encourage you to do, there's a good mentor to me, and this is a great thing to have in your business, is for purpose. There's a company out there called Tom Shoes, because a lot of people, I know every one of you are amazing humans. I've met a lot of you insurance agents, and you're all amazing, and you love to give back and you love to impact. But what gets in the way of people impacting sometimes is I don't have the time and I don't got the money. But when I have the time and I have the money, I'm going to do it. But usually what doesn't come in life is when we get more money, it's the same situation, and we typically don't get more time. We get less of it. So there's a company out there called Tom Shoes to go out and impact. They're a great shoe company, big shoe brand, and they decided to become a for-purpose company, which my mentor taught me, Cole Hatter. And what exploded their brand is they merged their business with philanthropy and became a for-purpose business, where they actually, it didn't cost them a dime, because they raised their COGS, their cost of goods. They raised it by $5. So instead of an average cost of $40 per pair of shoes, they made it $45. But what they did is they blitzed the campaign and said, we want to change the world. And we know there's a lot of kids out there that can't afford shoes. And for every pair of shoes you buy, we're going to gift a free pair of shoes to some young child overseas. Their brand exploded. So that's a great reason to go out and impact. And my heart has always been around impact. And Team Hired, we try to serve veterans. We try to serve at-risk youth, helping them show up in an interview differently. But I have a cause that's near and dear to my heart that we just started for children. I believe in America, we got our kids that are going off the unbeaten path. They're going off the yellow brick road, so to speak. When it comes to, and I know everybody on this call, you're incredible parents, but a lot of our kids are going off the path, and they need as much help and support as possible. And not the knock to school system, but there's a lot of things in school that they're not teaching when it comes to school. Somebody said my mic, so I'm going to change here. Can you guys hear me a little bit better now?
I hear you just fine.
There's a lot of things that they're not teaching in school. So we actually created the first of its kind mastermind for kids, and we're doing it's completely free, not just completely free, but totally free. 2-day free live event, August 18th and August 19th. And I would encourage you, it's not just for kids, it's for teens, it's for parents. It would be super cool and be near and dear to my heart is to help me out with this. And you can be part of history with me, is do a team building event. It's the 18th and 19th. And then on the 19th, if you look at the speaker lineup, it's incredible. The outpouring of love we got with Eric Thomas. He charges $100,000 an hour. He's coming in to speak. Jim Quick, Tim Story, David Meltzer, Gloria Mayfield Banks, social media influencer Jimmy Darts. It's got 6 million followers. And we're going to be teaching kids around the 5S: faith, family, freedom, finances, and fitness. But what's really cool on the 19th is we're all going to make history together, and you guys can be a part of history with me. Your team can be a part of history. Your team members, if they came in and did a viewing party, they can be a part of history by breaking a Guinness World Record, because we want to create not just impact education and impact our youth of our future. Near and dear to my heart, it's causes in my brother's name. I lost my brother. He didn't have the right, they say you're the average of those 5 people. I said that a couple times during the call. He had the wrong influence. He had great parents. My parents are amazing. But the wrong influence took him off the path. And this event, why it means so much to me, this is going to save a lot of Gary Williams. This is going to impact, this is going to save. And it might, you know what, there might be a lot of these same lessons you're teaching your kid. And what I found sometimes, because there's a lot of times when I listened to my parents around valuable lessons, I was young, I was naive. Maybe I'll call myself a little bit of stupid sometimes and go one ear and out the other. But when I heard it from an idol, and that's why we're trying to influence their influencers, because sometimes you hear an Eric Thomas say the same thing as mom and dad, it resonates. And that's what we want to do, is we want to elevate the lives of our children at a level that we create world shakers. And that's why we're doing a Guinness World Record attempt around financial literacy. Everybody that shows up will be a part of history, get their own certificate. We paid extra for it, so you'll get your name on it. Kids will get your name on it, that they were part of breaking a Guinness World Record around financial literacy for the most amount of folks that showed up in a Zoom call, learning from some of the greatest of the greatest. Like I invested, I'm a big proponent in investing. Not everybody, do this, but over the course of the decade, I've spent well over $500,000 to get in the room with these people. And I've been blessed to build relationships, friendships, and even business partners with some of them. And I was able to kind of pull all these people together, and they're going to be pouring their hearts out into you and your kids. So I would love it if you showed up. I would love it if you did like a little team building event. It's a cool way to build culture, because they're going to be talking about that. They're going to be talking about how to live not an almost life, but an utmost life, which is what I want for every kid in America. Thank you.
Absolutely. So that's elevate.kids, right? Elevate.kids is the website.
Plug something, but this is a passion, and I'm plugging it wherever I can go. I'm on the phone from 4:30 until midnight to make sure we make this record, because I don't want to just break it. I want to impact 10,000 lives, because 10,000 lives, what that's going to do is it's going to send a huge message. And I know out of 10,000 kids, there's going to be a kid thinking about going into a gang, kid that was thinking about suicide. You look at the statistics in America, it's staggering out there. 1.5 million youth end up homeless every single year. And we're in the best country, greatest country on earth. I still believe that, despite everything that's going on out there. You got 30 some odd % of our kids are being medicated in school. And then a staggering number when kids go to graduate, 90% of them feel like they're not prepared for life. And that's really the motivation for this too, because there shouldn't be a kid in America that goes out in the world that's not excited about starting a life rather than fearful, because that fear creates wrong decisions. It stems into addiction. It stems into a lot of other, almost things in life that could cause an almost life rather than an utmost life. And again, it's just, something we're going to make history together. Let's do it.
Dave, thank you for sharing that. And I put the link in the chat for anybody who wants to go right now, and you can actually start grabbing your tickets now.
The best way to do is take action now. You go under there and just put your name in www.elevate.kids and put your name into the Guinness World Record registry. It'll pop up free. You put your name in, and then that will enter you into the Guinness database. And then when they show up on the Zoom call, they'll be able to match that up. And the Guinness officiator is just going to be looking for them to type Guinness World Record in the chat. And that's going to be the barometer of how many people go in Zoom to break this world record and try to create an educational movement together. Because I believe, again, I'm not getting into politics here. I'm just getting into the truth of where our country's at. Our country needs help. Our country's more divided than ever. And I think whether you're on the left or the right, everybody will agree with that, right? In some way, shape, or form, we're not as resilient as we are. But the best cure to everything in America, which is still the greatest country on earth, to make it even greater, is we all show up in a lens of personal excellence. Because if we all show up, and I'm not perfect, but I try to push myself when it comes to my health, when it comes to my wealth, my relationships, because the best thing we all could do out there is show up as the best version of ourselves. because that's what other people see. And we all know when our peers and the people around us see us operating a certain way, they typically, birds of a feather flock together, but they also mimic what we do. And they copy what we do. People are more apt to do as we do before we do as we say. And if everybody shows up in that perfect lens of we love our neighbor, we support one another, and we band together as brothers and sisters, like there's nothing that can shake us like as a nation. And that's the narrative I'm trying to spread to our children. That's a narrative I'm trying to spread to every one of my peers. Love y'all.
I'm afraid to follow that. I don't think I can follow that. So no, guys, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this. And, Team Hired, I look forward to seeing you guys in Vegas. Y'all excited for the Vegas event? September?
Be there.
Yeah.
We'll be sponsoring Tao.
It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. I'm so appreciative for your partnership. I'm so appreciative of all that you guys do for dozens of our agencies. And thank you all for coming today and watching. Andy, any thoughts from you, my man?
No, thank you guys so much. Joseph, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your time, big time, more than I could say. And Dave, you as well. And if anybody has any questions, please just reach out right afterwards to any one of us. We'll be here. But with that said, I guess we'll put a wrap on this one until the next time with you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you all for your time and attention today. I appreciate y'all, and thank you for showing up.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And a strong finish to the week. It's not over yet.